friends, and welcome to today's Story Traveling with Miss Gail. Today I'm going to share with you two stories. Are you ready? Let's begin. Story 1. Way out west, where the rattlesnakes live, there was a baby rattlesnake. But baby rattlesnake was not happy, for baby rattlesnake did not have a rattle yet. He would shake his tail, but he didn't hear the sound, like when his mother and dad shook their tails and it sounded ha-ch-ch-ch-ch, ha-ch-ch-ch-ch. Oh, he went to his mother and daddy and he said, "I want a rattle too." But his mother and daddy said, "You're too young. You would get into trouble." Baby rattlesnake pouted. He cried. He said, "Brother and sister have a rattle. Why can't I have a rattle?" And his daddy and his mother said, "When you're bigger, you will have a rattle too. But right now, you're too young. You would get into trouble." Oh, but friends, baby rattlesnake cried and cried and cried. He cried all day, he cried all night. He kept all of the other rattlesnakes awake, and they were not happy. They came to talk to Mother and Daddy Rattlesnake, and they said, "Do something, we need to go to sleep." And the mother and daddy said, "But baby rattlesnake only wants a rattle." "Then give it to him." "But he's too young." "That's all right. He'll learn a lesson." So, Mama and Daddy gave baby rattlesnake a rattle. He looked at that new rattle and he shook it. Oh, he was so happy. He did a rattlesnake dance with his new rattle. He was so excited. He went out into the desert and he played his rattle and he played, and then he got bored and he thought, "I wonder what else I can do with this rattle." He saw Jackrabbit coming and he hid behind a rock. And he waited till Jackrabbit got right there beside the rock. And then baby rattlesnake jumped out and he Oh, Jackrabbit went, "Whoa!" And he hopped away just as fast as he could. Oh, that is so funny, said baby rattlesnake. "I wonder what else I can do." He hid behind the rock again. And sure enough, here came Prairie Dog. Prairie Dog was just walking along. Baby rattlesnake waited till he got to that rock, and then he jumped out and he "Wah!" said Prairie Dog, and he ran off just as fast as his little legs would carry him. Oh, that's so funny! And then, coming down the path, baby rattlesnake saw the chief's daughter. "Oh, I can scare her too," he thought. He hid behind the rock, and the chief's daughter, who stood very straight and tall, who walked with her head held high, who was not afraid of anything, came down the path. Baby rattlesnake waited until she got right to the rock where he was. And then he jumped out and he went But the chief's daughter was not afraid of anything. "Ho!" she said, and she lifted up her foot and stomp right on top of baby rattlesnake's rattle. Crack! His rattle broke all over the trail, and the chief's daughter went walking on down the path. Baby rattlesnake looked at his tail. He looked at all the broken rattles around it. And he went home. He told his mama and daddy what happened. and they wiped his tears away, and they gave him snake hugs. And they said, "Baby Rattlesnake, when you get older, you will know how to use your rattle. But for now, just be you." And baby Rattlesnake was happy and satisfied, and he would wait. Now that was our first story about a little rattlesnake that didn't listen to what his mama and daddy said. So now I'm going to tell you another story. A story about a young girl who also forgot what she was supposed to do. There once was a little girl that lived in a very small house next to a dark forest. Every day her mother would say, "Do not go into that forest, for if you do, the Gunnywolf might get you." Oh, the Gunnywolf sounded really scary. So she never, ever went into the forest. Now around their house there was a white fence, and she could play in the yard all she wanted. But one day her mother got a phone call. She came outside where the little girl was playing, and she said, "I need to go over to visit a neighbor for just a minute. You stay right here in the yard. Do not go into the forest, or the Gunnywolf might get you." And the little girl said, "Yes, Mama, I will stay right here." And her mama left down the road to go to the neighbor's house. Now the neighbor lived far enough away you couldn't quite see their house. But the little girl knew her mama would be back soon. She played in the yard, she played with her doll. Then she looked, and right on the other side of the fence were some beautiful white flowers. "My mama would like those flowers," she thought, and she went over to the fence. She reached through, but those flowers were just out of reach. She climbed up on the fence and she reached over, but she still couldn't touch those flowers. "They're right outside the gate. I will go and pick them and be right back in." And so she opened up the gate. She went along the fence. She stepped away from the fence and started picking those white flowers. And as she did, she sang a happy song. It sounded like this: "Kumquat-kiwa, kumquat-ki." And she looked up, and for the first time she could see into the dark forest, and she could see a patch of red flowers. Red and white flowers, that would be so pretty. And so that little girl forgot what her mother said, and she went into that dark forest. Those flowers, those red flowers were beautiful, and she began to pick those red flowers, and as she did, she sang, "Kumquat-kiwa, kumquat-ki." And she looked up, and a little further into the forest, she could see some yellow flowers. Oh, those would be so pretty. She turned around and looked. She could still see her yard. "I'm not that far into the forest," she thought. And so she skipped along to the yellow flowers. And as she began to pick those yellow flowers and sing her happy song, she looked up once again, and she could see the sun coming through the trees, shining on some orange flowers. Oh, orange flowers are my mama's favorites. I'll only just pick a few, and then I'll run back home. And so that little girl walked deeper into the forest, and began to pick those orange flowers. And she sang, Kumquakiwa, Kumquakiwa. And all of a sudden, behind those orange flowers stood up a huge gray wolf with a long pointed nose and sharp teeth and a big bushy tail. It was the Gunnywolf. And the Gunnywolf said, Little girl, why for you move? And the little girl said, Me no move. He said, Then sing that good and sweet song for me again. And so the little girl tried to sing. Friends, maybe you at home can help me. She's really nervous. Kumquakiwa, Kumquakiwa. And as she sang, that big Gunnywolf's eyes, his eyes closed, and his head came down onto his feet, and he went to sleep. Quickly, she turned around and she began to run. She ran like this. Pitty-pat, pitty-pat, pitty-pat. Can you help her run, friends? Pitty-pat, pitty-pat. But the Gunnywolf, he woke up and he started to chase her. And as he chased her, it sounded like this. Hunka-cha, hunka-cha, hunka-cha. Can you do that with me, friends? Chase the little girl. Hunka-cha, hunka-cha. And he caught up with her and she stopped and he said, Little girl, why for you move? She said, Me no move. He said, Then sing that good and sweet song for me again. Okay. And she began to sing again. Friends, can you help me again? Kumquakiwa, Kumquakiwa. And once again, that Gunnywolf's eyes closed and he laid that big old head of his on his feet and he went to sleep. And that little girl, she turned around and ran again. Help her run really fast. Are you ready? Pitty-pat, 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 pitty-pat. But the Gunnywolf, he woke up and he started to chase her. Are you ready? Hunka-cha, hunka-cha, hunka-cha. He ran after her till he caught up with her. She stopped and he said, Little girl, why for you move? And she said, do you know what she said, friends? That's right. She said, Me no move. He said, Then sing that good and sweet song again. Okay. Boys and girls, can you help her sing one more time? Okay. Kumquakiwa, Kumquakiwa. And that Gunnywolf's eyes closed again. That big head came down and laid down on his front feet. He went to sleep. That little girl, she ran just as fast as she could. Help her run, friends. Are you ready? Pitty-pat, 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 pitty-pat. But that Gunnywolf, he woke up and he started to chase her. Hunka-cha, hunka-cha, hunka-cha. And that little girl, she ran so fast. Pitty-pat, pitty-pat. She ran out of that forest. Pitty-pat, pitty-pat. She ran through her gate. Pitty-pat, pitty-pat. She ran into her house. She was safe at last. And that little girl never went into the forest again. And that was the story of the Gunnywolf. Friends, thank you so much for your help to get that little girl home safe. Now, I hope all of you at home are being safe, and I hope that you will join us next time for another story traveling with Miss Gail. Now, if you haven't joined our summer reading program yet, please check us out at hallcountylibrary.org and find out how to join our summer reading program and read, and have fun this summer. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time, friends. Bye.